Welcome back to the second edition or second part of my C-section story. So they told us at this point no formula. So my husband is saying, where's the formula that we brought? I'm like, it's in the trunk. You have to go get it at the car. He did not want to leave because they were just telling us bad things that could happen to the baby because her sugar's dropping, so we're getting like worried by now. He did not want to leave. He didn't want to leave my side to get the formula. So I'm gonna tell my husband, don't worry. Once they leave, we could sneak in the formula and give it to her. And the nurse comes by and she's like, oh, a private room open, so we're gonna move you to the private room. So I'm like, thank God, because then my husband could stay in with me. So they move all my stuff to this new room, a private room, which I'm like, thank God we have our own private room, because I honestly didn't want to share the other side. And by then they told us it's a full house, so that means it's a full house, and there's only like 4 private rooms in the hospital. It's a small hospital, so it's not that big, and it's like 8 in total of 8 rooms, so it's a small hospital. So they moved me to this private room. I'm like, thank God I'm in the private room. And once again, the nurse checks the baby's sugar, and it dropped. But this time she did not tell me how much it dropped. She's like, oh, the baby's sugar's low. So she left the room and came back. She's like, oh, the baby has to go to the NICU. So I'm like, what? What just happened? And obviously I start crying. I start like, why she has to go to the NICU. I know her sugar's dropped. The only thing she needs is food. Give her some formula and she will be better. They're like, nope, she's going to the NICU. So my husband at that time, wasn't there because my daughter came by from she came by to visit us, and obviously she had no food in her tummy. She hasn't ate anything, so my husband went to the cafeteria to buy her some food, and he wasn't there when they told me that. So I'm texting him and calling him to let him know what's going on. He's like, oh no, he did not receive any of my messages. And I look at my phone. Obviously I was sending it to another person, his mom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck I'm doing? I was sending to his mom all the information, which he did not receive it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So his mom is there, and then my husband gets there. He asks a bunch of questions, why you're taking the baby, and because of the sugar. She's gonna be better there. There's gonna be one-on-one more. She needs a nurse to stay in there and take care of the baby to make sure her sugars doesn't drop. Because if it keeps dropping, then they have to put IV on her. And the IV could go into whatever. I didn't want to ask where they're going to put the IV. I just didn't want her to be that serious by then. And my mom came by, my sister came by. They had the chance to see the baby. My sister-in-law came by also. They saw the baby. And once they saw those people saw the baby, the nurse from the NICU comes by, and she's like, okay, we're going to take the baby because you had gestational diabetes, and the baby's sugar's dropping. So we just want to take a close look at the baby, make sure she's okay. So they took the baby, they took the alarm out, they put her into this new bed for the NICU. They took her down. My husband went with her, and she was there for about 7 hours there, I think, if I'm not mistaken. She was there for 7 hours. And the only thing they did, it was formula fed. And thank God her sugars were better. Once her sugars were controlled, then they had they brought it back to me with a nurse that had to monitor her. They had assigned the baby a nurse to keep her monitored. And by then, I'm like, I could move my legs in the afternoon. So obviously, I'm like, can I stand up and go see my baby? I want to be with my baby. But the nurse said, no. My nurse, she's like, no, you have to be in bed for 24 hours before I was able to stand. Those 24 hours were like the longest 24 hours that I ever been. So once they brought back the baby, they just had to monitor her, give her formula. So what I did is try to nurse her first and then bottle feed her. So like that, she was at least getting something up of me, and then formula. And so because I was trying to breastfeed, the lactation consultants comes by and they're like, oh, okay, you want to breastfeed? Yeah, your milk is starting to come in. That's good, blah, blah, blah. So we could take out the formula. I'm like, dude, you're not looking at my records. The baby's sugar's dropping. I don't think so, lady. You're going to take away the formula. And both of the nurses, my nurse and the lactation consultant, were like pushing, oh, no more formula. No more formula. I'm like, no way, Jose. No way. You're not a doctor. I don't feel confidence to take the baby out of the formula. When you guys put her into the NICU, she could go back to the NICU. No way. No way. And then the doctor, the pediatrician of the baby, wanted to see her in another room. So they sent her to another room to see the doctors. My husband goes by. And like, why he couldn't come and do those exams here? Last time I was there, my daughter's older doctor came by and saw her there at the room and did all the tests. Why this doctor cannot come and do those tests here? So that was a question that never could answer. And then after that, like couple hours, the doctor comes by and talks to me. I'm like, well, this nurse, I had a snitch on the nurse. The nurse wants to take away the formula, and she's saying that she wants just to put her in breast, which I don't think is going to happen, because if her sugars drop, then they're going to end up putting her back into the NICU, and I don't want that. So I want to keep using the formula and breastfeed at the same time. So he agreed with me that it was okay to give her the formula and just give her breast milk. So I spoke to the doctor, and he's like, okay, that's what you want. That's the way it's gonna happen. So by that time, I was like, okay, it's 24 hours. I want to leave. I want to leave already. I don't care. It's 24 hours. I'm fine. I could walk. Yes, this is painful, but if they're going to give me medication, I could drink this at my home. So I don't really have to be here. So I was like, I want to leave. Then my doctor comes in, my actual doctor that did the surgery. He comes in and he's like, oh, good. You're standing around. You're walking around. I'm like, what time can I leave? It's like, not today. I'm like, oh, man. It's only been 24 hours. So he's like, no, let's wait another day and we'll see tomorrow. So I'm like, tomorrow? I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm not seeing, I'm leaving. So this is Thursday, and by Friday I'm like, I'm leaving on Friday. Regardless, whoever likes it or not, I'm leaving on Friday. By then, my daughter was getting homesick. She was crying all the time. She didn't want to be with her grandma. She wanted to be with us. So I'm like feeling it. And obviously, I don't want her to go back to the NICU. So they're like, oh, no. So I'm like thinking, I'm gonna be better at home. I'm with my older daughter and with this baby. If she needs formula, I'll fed her formula. My milk will be here when it's time to get here. So we're there the whole Thursday. I start standing up, walking around, do my exercise, little exercise I want you to walk around, make sure you're okay. So I did that. So on Friday, I was waiting for the doctor, and I missed the doctor because I wanted a shower because I felt like I stinked. So I'm like, oh man, I need to shower. I want to shower, and obviously the doctor comes in. He doesn't see me, but he saw my husband. He's like, my husband told him that I wanted to go home, and he's like, okay, that's good. And I told the nurse, oh, I'm going home. She's like, oh no, they haven't said anything. I'm like, no, I'm going home. Go tell the doctor that I want to go home now. So they're like, are you sure you want to go home? I'm like, oh hell yeah, I want to go home. So I was able to go home. We left the hospital like around, it was dark already, like around 6. So I was happy that I was able to go home. Very happy. And once we get home, everything is different, like peaceful. My older daughter's so happy to stay with us, be home. So that's what happened at my C-section story. Hopefully you guys like it. Give some thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if I forgot something, then I'll see how can I add it. Maybe I'll put some letters there. But that's what happened at my C-section. And hopefully I am able to do 2 weeks postpartum with this little young lady. And thank you for watching this video. Bye.